Is it nerdy for me to be wearing my merch in a video? Hey, it's Rav, I'm 2 years on T, and that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So what you can expect from this video is that first, we're gonna have a quick recap of the changes I had experienced in my first year on T, using some old clips. Mostly just blast through it. We're not gonna dwell too long. It's more that's what you missed on Glee kind of situation. And then I'm gonna share a little bit of my thoughts on that first year on T, now that I've had one more year to look back on it. And then we're gonna go over the changes I've experienced in the last 12 months, like from month 12 to month 24. And then after talking about the changes, I'm gonna be talking about my experience with passing, my dysphoria, my just thoughts and feelings and all that fun stuff, and just what the future looks like for me, what I'm seeing, how I'm feeling, and yeah.
Hey, I am Raf. Just started on Androjo. It is 1 week on T. My appetite has increased.
3 months on T. I've been getting more of a beer belly kind of situation. 4 months on T, and my voice is definitely getting deeper. My face is less bloated. I'm 7 months on T, 4.5 months post-op. My shoulders are getting bigger, and while I do think testosterone is a big factor behind it, it's worth mentioning I've been working out fairly regularly, 3 times a week. Also, I just discovered that shin muscles are a thing, and I don't know if I had these before. Look at that. 10 months on T, 7.5 months post-op, and my uterus and I are still not on good terms with each other, and so I have opted to bite the bullet and switch from the gel to the shots. I think my face is continuing to change shape, and I feel like I'm getting a lot less cheek and a lot more cheekbone and a lot more jaw, and my shoulders, back, chest, they're a lot wider now. Now into lower body, my hips and my butt continuing to get smaller. Loving that. Additionally, my legs have been getting more toned in general, so getting calf muscles to complement the shin muscles. It's been a year on T, and I've made more progress on my facial hair. I did shave recently just to see how long it would take to grow back, and even now I feel like my jaw continues to change, my face shape continues to change, and my voice probably will continue to change for a little bit more still. On top of how much I've been getting into working out and body fat redistribution, my shoulders and my back have been just getting really big and muscular. My back is swole, and I'm pretty happy about it. Part of it is testosterone, yeah, but also I'm pretty sure a lot of it is also just the hard work I've been putting into pushing myself further and building and maintaining a consistent routine towards the body I want. Honestly, aside from the big changes of my voice and body fat and stuff like that, a very big emotional change has been my confidence and how much more at home I feel in my body. And when I think about 17-year-old me, he wouldn't have even imagined this. And I'm glad I stuck around to be me. And soon, maybe I won't fit into this shirt anymore because I'll be so swole. My first year in T was great. I feel really good about the changes I experienced. There were some ups and downs, and there were some things where I made a big deal out of it and I didn't need to. But overall, I don't have any regrets. Dysphoria, it's a really wild ride within that first year. Very transitionary period, pun intended. No, not right now, Juno. Where was I? Looking back, the first year on T is a really weird time. It's very exciting to experience the changes and see the changes and just watch the changes in real time. But also, you feel very aware of what hasn't changed yet or what just seems unfinished. That was my experience being 1 year on T as a binary trans man. My transition and my relationship with my transition is that I wanna be perceived the way a cis guy is perceived. I'm trying to figure out where I was. Raj is eating, so you might be able to hear that. What am I even saying? Yeah, so those are my thoughts on my first year on T. I want my transness to be my choice, whether or not it's visible. I don't want people to see me and clock me. I want to pass. And I know people have a different relationship with those words and a different relationship with those concepts. In my experience, where I'm at, what my goals are, I have found that the first year in T is really just where I felt unfinished. And, I still feel unfinished, but I do feel a lot more settled with my body. And we're going to be going over those changes that I've experienced in these last 12 months. So let's start with the head. I've made decent facial hair progress. My facial hair in the first year of T, it was not it. I mean, it still isn't great. Even if it's pathetic, it's definitely way more noticeable than it was when I was in my first year on T. I actually shaved 2-3 weeks ago, and it's grown back. And I also do tend to trim it just so I feel like I look like I have a stubble and not a pathetic facial hair mess. I do plan to shave my facial hair probably tonight or tomorrow, just because I'm a little bit not into how scraggly it is right now. And also there's some things I'm going to where I want to look more traditionally, conventionally presentable, and that means that my scraggly facial hair isn't gonna cut it. Another change with my head is that my hairline seems to be continuing to change. I'm not sure how noticeable it is, considering I do get my hairline done whenever I go to the barber. I kind of feel like my forehead is bigger, but I might be imagining it. But I really don't think I'm gonna be going bald. I feel like the odds, are in my favor, but I hope that's not like jinxing it, because yeah, I can't be jinxing that. Another thing I want to say with the changes I've experienced on my head is that my face is still continuing to change, get more squared off. I think my jaw is still continuing to come out more. I do want to say that I've been prioritizing my fitness a lot more in the last 2 years, so it's kind of hard to gauge if it's just testosterone that's changing my face shape at this point, because changing my body fat percentage will affect how my face looks. So part of it can be attributed to T, and part of it can be attributed to losing weight. Something that can't be attributed to my fitness journey is I feel like my voice is continuing to get deeper. I don't overthink my voice anywhere near as much as I used to. There are still moments where I'm kind of second guessing my voice and like doubting if it is deep enough, but I think that's more my anxiety in general. Very distracted. I can hear Raja crying in the other room. I just listen to other guys' voices now and hear their pitch, and when they go lower and when they seem to talk like their voice is getting pinched at the throat. I feel like I am more able to hear that now and feel like, oh, okay, they do it too, so I'm good. When I slow down a bit more, I think that helps a little bit too, because I feel like when I get really excited, my voice kind of like goes all over the place, and that's a thing, but I feel like that's also normal in that realm. I've been getting some nice like Adam's apple-ish progress, vocal cords getting nice and thick. I am enjoying it. I like that this guy is sticking out a bit more. Also, my eyebrows are still getting thicker. It's not showing very well right now because my skin got mad at me because I neglected it a little bit, and I've been under some stress that's more than usual. So my skin is acting up a little bit right now, but in general, my skin has settled a lot more in the last few months. It has significantly helped with my confidence. That first year on T, when I was not having great skin, I was not very happy with it. When I look at old videos and clips, I'm like, oh, yeah, that was fun. Not really. So those are the changes I've noticed with my head. Next, we're going to be talking about the changes I've experienced with my upper body, and my shoulders and my arms are getting a lot bigger, and I'm definitely getting a lot more muscle mass. I'm feeling great about that. But I do want to say that part of that can be attributed to testosterone, but I also want to say that I have been working out a lot, and I have been really pushing myself and really working on my body and building it. Bodybuilder. I have been purposefully building up my muscles and building up my arms and shoulders. Especially the last quarter-ish of 2022 and the first month or so of 2023, I was focusing on building up my shoulders, and it's paid off. And I also want to say that I did start taking creatine, and the most Sparks Notes version I can come up with is that creatine is a molecule in your body that stores energy. So when you take supplements, you have a bigger supply of energy that can be regenerated and boost your strength during a workout. So you can push harder and force your muscles to get bigger. So for the purposes of full disclosure, I do want to say that it's been 3-ish months since I've been taking it, and I feel like it has made a difference in my progress, and I like that. But I can't say that it's just the creatine, and I can't say that it's just the testosterone, and I could maybe say, I can't say it was just me either. So I feel like it was a combination of all those three things. On top of the muscle building and like the body fat redistribution, I've been getting hairier, a thin layer of fuzz on my chest and belly. It's more now, it's still not like a lot. Not sure if I want it to get much hairier. If it gets to that point, I will figure out what kind of manscaping I want to do. And then one more change with my upper body that I noticed, that I feel like my hands are still more veiny than they were before, but I also don't really like pay that much attention to it. So that was head and upper body. Now we're moving on to lower body. My period finally stopped, and woo, happy to be done with that. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it does not come back anytime soon at all, ever. Last I checked, it's been 200-ish days since I last had my period, so I'm very happy to not be dealing with that anymore, and hopefully never again. I do have some things I'm planning to do where that won't be an issue anymore. Just a teaser, I guess. While we're on the subject of my reproductive system, I also want to say that bottom growth is still happening. It's wild. Anyway, I'm continuing to get more leg hair. My shins are a lot hairier. My calves have some hair. My thighs are hairier. I am not used to having hair like that on my thighs. Obviously, not used to being very hairy. And I'm still not very hairy. I don't know where I was going with that. That's about it with the changes from my head, upper body, and lower body. And so now I want to talk about how I feel about passing and dysphoria and all that fun stuff. Where I'm at now is I pass pretty consistently. I like that. I do feel like I still tend to read as a young guy. When I was getting my suit, the seamstress was kind of questioning how old I was and was convinced I was like a high school student. And then when I said I was 20, oh my god, I'm turning 30. When I told her my age, she did not believe me. She was convinced I couldn't be older than like 21 or whatever. Passing consistently the way I do now has definitely shifted the way I navigate the world and the way I take up space in the world. I don't worry as much for my physical safety the way I used to. I'm also like still careful and mindful, of course. But on the other hand, guys, but also anyone, they see me as a guy, but they see me as a really young guy. And so they're not going to believe that I'm turning 30. That also would affect how I navigate the world. Because even when I was perceived as a masculine woman, if they thought I was 3 years younger than I actually was, now I feel like they think I'm 5 to 10 years younger than I actually am. People will think I'm a kid, like very inexperienced with the world. And I'm not into that. As someone who moved here from an entirely different country, I have a lot of life experience that I think other people don't have. That's just something I'm kind of trying to figure out still, and I feel like with a bit more time, I'm gonna start to look more like my age, for better or worse. It's not bad to look youthful either. Eventually, I'm gonna get to a point where I'm at a sweet spot of looking youthful, but still being able to be someone that you would take seriously in a professional setting. I also want to say that I do spend most of my day-to-day interactions with people who have seen me transition in real time, so they know what I was like before my medical transition and my social transition. It does make me like sometimes second guess, like, am I actually different? So it does feel good that strangers and new people can't tell. I like the sense of agency that gives me on whether or not I want to disclose to that person, because that's still something I'm trying to figure out how I feel about and what I want to do and how I want to approach it. Because, you know, I have this public channel where I'm pretty visible and open about it. And the way I think about it is that talking about my transition on here, that's me owning the agency I have over that. And so if someone sees my content, that's me telling them that I'm trans. But if someone, you know, hasn't met me before, hasn't seen my content, and then someone is just like, oh, that dude's trans, I'm not into that. I want to be able to choose who knows and how they know. That's just my thought process. I think it makes sense. In terms of dysphoria though, I do feel like the feelings I have about my hips and my body in general, there's an element of dysphoria there for sure, but also there's an element more of like, I want to look thinner and I want to continue to lose fat, continue to build muscle. And it's not so much anymore that I'm like, can they tell? Yeah, this is just a very roundabout way of saying that I don't feel as much dysphoria about my body the way I used to. And it's now just me trying to fix my relationship with my body and feel more comfortable with where I'm at with my fitness progress and not compare myself so much with other people. I feel like in the first year on T and like year and a half on T, that was a really big issue. In the last 3, 4, 5 months, I've been a lot more at ease. Part of that comes with being further along in my transition. And as for my chest, having tattoos on them has helped a lot, because once I got most of it covered up, I barely ever felt dysphoria over them anymore. I do still have more tattoos I plan to get to just cover up the scars on my sternum. I want to eventually figure out some nice design to cover up the ones just at the edges of my scars. But at the moment, if there's anything that bugs me about my chest, it's more like I want it to be more muscular and more full with muscle, but that's more of a body issue thing than a dysphoria thing. I do feel like my grafts still bug me a little bit. I want to get them pierced to just bring them out a little bit more, and then I still haven't fully written off the idea of getting them cosmetically tattooed just to make them look more convincing, but I don't think they bother me anywhere near as much as they used to. And now that the scars are covered up, I just feel a lot more at ease with them. While we're on the subject of dysphoria, bottom dysphoria has been bothering me a lot lately, and it's not fun. Didn't feel it too much before, and I've seen other trans guys talk about it where they're further along on T once the chest dysphoria is taken care of by top surgery. That's when the bottom dysphoria just starts to creep in. I think it is a thing.
I was just thinking more about the things I felt dysphoric about, and the fewer things there were, the more focused I was on what those things were. Getting top surgery brought me so much comfort in my own skin that for ages, I was able to ignore bottom dysphoria.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm easing into in my journey so far. Part of the issue, I think, is just I get really fixated on my anatomy and how conventional existing equipment just doesn't fit right. I don't want to get too graphic into it, but that's what's frustrating me right now. I do feel happy with the bottom growth I've had so far, but I want more. On another note, as I continue on this journey and as testosterone continues to change my body and my appearance, and as it continues to bring out whatever my genetics have, I am starting to look more and more like my brothers. On one hand, I'm into that. I love how much I look like them, and it just feels right. On the other hand, it kind of just makes me miss them more, because then I like look in the mirror and I see like aspects of them and I miss them. But the loneliness of being an immigrant, that's a conversation for another video. And I've talked about this in the videos where I'm documenting the testosterone side of my transition. And I said before that I started out with the gel, with the topical testosterone, and I was really happy with it for a little while, but I eventually switched to the shots. A big part of the reason why I switched was because I was getting frustrated that my period hadn't stopped yet. And when I would get my blood work done, my levels were still fluctuating a lot, and that's not good. I did switch to shots, and I feel like it's made a big difference. I did start out with a dose that was a little bit too low, and then was a bit too high, and then now I think we're at a sweet spot, and I feel like I'm a lot happier with what the shots have done for me. And I want to eventually do a shots versus gel video. I can see pros and cons for either, but for me personally, where I'm at now, I don't see myself switching back to the gel, and I am comfortable seeing myself doing the shots for the rest of my life indefinitely. Overall, I'm feeling really optimistic. I'm still hoping to get proper facial hair, because this is not it, but we'll see. I enjoy that I pass pretty consistently, and I really like not overthinking whether or not I look dude enough and whether or not people can tell. I'm really happy with the peace I've been feeling lately, where that doesn't really seem to bother me anymore when I'm in public, and honestly made a difference with my stress levels and my anxiety. And so, I hope this video was interesting and entertaining. And if you want this hat or this shirt or any other stuff, check them out on my website. I have a shop that I have soft launched, and I guess this is a medium launch. And I just figured now would be the perfect time to celebrate being 2 years on T by plugging my shop. And in the meantime, hope you have a good day. I'll see you all in my next video. And yeah, here's 2 more years on T. Bye!